and they can't make ends meet. And if you can't make ends meet, they're well tough. Right? And the children and the wife has to bear the brunt of this. And this happened in the era of the Prophet of Allah where his own mother-in-law, the Prophet's mother-in-law complained to him that Abu Sufyan is a tight wad. And he doesn't give me enough money, yet he's got so much of money. So the Prophet of Allah, now please understand this in the context. The Prophet of Allah told her, then, if that is the case there, take out whatever you need to from his pocket or whatever it is there, in order to cover your expenses, because he won't know either way here or there. Now, what happens is that withholding basic necessities results in situations where I know of women whose husbands are working, who have decent jobs. Ask, where's Wali? Right? They have jobs, but they can't make ends meet. The woman has to literally go to a Sanzaf office or go to a charitable organization to take a donation and to take charity from there in order to cover the expenses at home. Really? They can't afford medical expenses for their children. They can't afford to pay the madrasa fees. And the husband is earning, he may not be earning exorbitantly, but there's enough if he had to budget his money correctly to be able to do so. But because he's squandering his money in cigarettes, squandering their money and withholding expenses falls also in this category when people sometimes have addictions. Drug addiction is one issue as well. The guy, people don't know that the man has a drug addiction for maybe 1 or 2 years. Right? But meanwhile he's spending his money there, or he's got a gambling thing, or he's got some other issues. And they'll cut down on all of these costs in order to take care of that habit. Now, what I've noticed in the African community, generally speaking, is that they will withhold basic food necessities in the home there to pay for a cell phone charge. You know, like a 29 cell phone, what do you call it? Airtime. I've seen that. They'll go and spend their money on buying a fancy phone, and their children, and they'll go and beg out there for school fees and for school uniforms. Now, these are challenges, and these things need to be addressed. And this is why all of these matters should be brought to the attention of our children to say, hold on, these are your rights, and these are your duties and responsibilities. Nowadays, women are fighting for their right, and fighting for their rights, and they're demanding their rights, forgetting that they also have duties as well. Right? So Islam emphasizes duties. Islam does not emphasize rights. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala who clarified the matter, he said, the rights that others have over you, remember them and fulfill them. The rights that others have over you, remember them and fulfill them. And the rights you have over others, forget about them. The rights you have over others, forget about them. Islam prioritizes duties, not rights. Why? A right is a right against someone. Can you see the negative connotation to it? A right is a right against someone, and a duty is a duty towards someone. Can you see the distinction? Major distinction. Like in the government, I as a South African say, I have the right to do this. So give me my health service delivery. I as a South African citizen, I have a duty towards my other fellow human beings. Let me fulfill it. Can you see the distinction in Islam's ethics? You understand? Okay? That's the physical challenges. Then going to the psychological challenges. Abusive language. This is very, very common from both sides, from both spouses. Right? One is, I've seen many families wherein husbands and wives, generally the lingua franca in the house is gali. Swearing. Really, I've seen these homes. I mean, they haven't done it in front of him because they'll be a bit embarrassed. But you hear that F&Bs is like normal. And when they talk, they're talking with F&Bs. Abusive language. And they carry on like that. And children pick it up. As I know a child did, 3 or 4 years, someone complained to me the other day, the child only swears. Because why? He's hearing the swearing in the home. And this type of abusive language has a negative impact. It already is creating a pattern in the minds of children. Right? The tone of voice. Right? Then the other one is where the husband will come inside there and he becomes aggressive and whatever it is there, and he calls the wives names like you can't believe, and loudly and this and that there, and they carry on. You must have known, I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Or vice versa. The woman goes for it, boy. Not only with swearing, with vulgar language, but with the things that they say. You are like this and you are like that. You are not a good for nothing husband. And da 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 da, blah 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 blah, and they carry on. Now the other issue is that women get into hissy fits. I'm using an example, right? If it's that time of the month, they go ballistic. Right? And then the mothers say, I wish you were dead. I wish you were never born. I wish you never, or the women, I wish I was never married. From the time you've been married, I've never seen one day of happiness. All of this falls into the category of abusive language, right? And you're not saying good things. You have nothing good to say. And abusive language also complaints. The husband is always complaining, or the woman is always complaining. And that's all that they have to say to one another. They don't talk to one another, they're talking at one another. And this all falls under abusive language. And what I mean by abuse, I mean incorrect and negative communication. Negative communication. And this negative communication impacts on the children in the home. The tone of voice, the attitudes, this and that there. You'll be shocked. Right? The next one is emotional abuse. And emotional abuse, boy, how much of time you got? How much of time you got? Let me give you a few examples. No, I'm just talking, it's such an important issue. I know we got a little bit of time there. Right? Emotional abuse is becoming more and more rampant. I'm going to give you a few examples. One is where either spouse puts the other spouse down. Constantly, you're an idiot, you're too fat, you're too ugly, you're a waste of time, you come from this background, you are like this, you're a low life, and carries on. And it goes on for a period of time until the person begins to actually now internalize it and begins to believe it. And it erodes their self-confidence. It takes away their dignity. Emotional abuse takes away your self-confidence. Emotional abuse takes away your dignity. Emotional abuse takes away your integrity. Emotional abuse takes away your own respect for yourself. And it destroys you as an individual. Right? And there's various types of emotional abuse. One is emotional blackmail. Right? There are some women out there who are experts at it. They put their husbands through hell through emotional blackmail. Right? And I'll give you examples of this, from men and from women. Emotional blackmail from women. If the woman comes from a slightly more solid social and socio-economic background, she'll threaten the husband with leaving the house. And I'll take my children with me. And you won't be allowed to see them because my father can support me and blah, 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 blah. And I'll just see what you're going to do about it inside them. One. Second example is wherein the husband is aggressive by nature. Right? And they all live on tenterhooks in the home. They're not comfortable. They're walking on eggshells. Because the moment he comes inside, Mr. Billy Goat Gruff, everyone will, shh, keep quiet. Why are you making noise? Everyone, they're afraid to live. When you're afraid to live, and when you're comfortable when the person left, hi, can you be normal now, please? That's abuse. It may happen one day. Okay, we know some people just go into a bad mood for one day and then the next day they're back to normal. Now I'm talking about, consistently wherein you hear, what, the moment daddy comes home, everyone is like in a bad mood. Or everyone is afraid. Everyone keeps quiet. They're not happy to see the person. Or sometimes mommy is like that. Mommy is OCD. Sitting in there. What's the play this one here? The poor husband and children, oh, you hear them early in the morning, they're starting the children. You got in there, you're not used to there. Why didn't you have a bath? Why didn't you do this one? Look how you're filthy. Emotional abuse. After a while, hey, bye. Finished. No, really. Right? And you have these women out there. Those who are like screaming and shouting and making a fuss and everything. The poor guy, can I have this? Oh, what do you want this for? How are you? You know the examples. I don't need to, to spell it out to you. You have an idea. You've seen women like this. You may have had a mother like that there who may have been overbearing, right? Who was like an authoritarian or a disciplinarian. Like if you just sat there and your plate was out of weight, oh, you did. You understand? Now that type of abuse plays on you because you're not in a happy family unit, right? So that's one of the psychological signs. The next one is neglect. I'm not going to be able to go through the entire thing, it's already 9:20 anyway. Neglect. Now what do I talk about neglect? Neglect comes in, sometimes when marriages have reached a plateau and things are not going, now they're tired of each other, right? And both people grow apart. Instead of growing together, they grow apart. And after a while, because of whatever issues you may have had previously, first sometimes there are a few rocky years in marriage and never improves, and sometimes it's rocky years and things improve. But if after a while, right, they've stopped loving each other, they stopped talking to each other, they've grown apart, neglect sets in. And one of the greatest signs of neglect in this modern age is what I call emotional infidelity. What do I mean by this? Men or women direct their feelings, their emotions, and express their love and their care and their concern and their sympathy and their empathy and everything elsewhere, as opposed to expressing it where it matters most. So all of a sudden, you will think you have the worst wife in the world or the worst husband in the world. Why? He doesn't talk to me. When he gets home there, he has barely anything to say to me, right? When it comes to being with me, taking me here, taking me there, he or she doesn't want to go with me, or he or she doesn't take me there. We don't go out to functions together. We don't go out on holidays together, right? We barely talk to each other when we're at home. And our conversations on the table are basically about how was the day, fine. Not even how a day, fine there. I need money for bread. Yeah, there's the money here. Right? They spend more times out of the house than inside the house. Right? Neglect. And they spend more, and this modern day and age, now with more social media, they spend more time on Facebook, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, and on everything here. So when they come to bed now, all of a sudden they're busy having conversations there. And the poor husband is looking at his wife and saying, like, okay. But when you find them out in a social context, this guy is like the salt of the earth. He's the life of the party. He's the one who's the he's like the amongst the guys, like, he's the one, the mover and the shaker. And he's organizing the program. He's doing this one here. He's doing that one that day, right? He's organizing the parties, the golf, and this one here, the bridge weekend, and this and that, whatever it is. He's doing what? At home, emotionally dead. The woman, on the other hand, she's involved in this charity organization. She's involved in this kitty club here, and she's doing this one here, and they do gym together, and they go out on the soirees and whatever it is. And at home, they're more preoccupied with their BFF's life and her family than her own family. I've seen the situation wherein a woman is dearer to her best friend's children, and she does more for her best friend's children than her own children. Or the father will do more for his nephews or his friends' children and spend more time with them and watch them at sports or whatever than he'll do for his own kids. And that's all falls under neglect. It falls under neglect. And then you get the other neglect and these are common problems, when the wife will sometimes complain to me, oh, my husband is always by his mother and always by his father. Or more generally with the woman by his mother. And he spends more time with her and doesn't spend enough time with me. And you know what? The poor fellow is sandwiched between the two of them. Right? Then you get the other side of the neglect out there, right? My husband is like this one here. No, he spends more time with my wife spends more time with her family, right? More time with her sisters and her brothers and her dad and her mom, to a point where now I become almost like a gharjama in that house. No. It just depends on how it works. Sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way. And sometimes you have imposing, matriarchs and patriarchs. When you finish by. And eventually, you don't focus on your own marriage and your own life, you end up focusing more on their lives. Their lives become priorities and our lives are unimportant. So there is no balance, and all this falls under the rubric of neglect. Then the last one is abandonment. And this is the worst one. When things go sour and things are not good, right? For all intents and purposes, both the couple, the male and the female, the wife and the husband, have gone their separate ways. Emotionally, they've detached. Physically, no contact. Right? Emotionally, nothing there. Financially, basic household expenses, this and that, or whatever it is inside there. Right? Sometimes, more often than not even that. And the other one is where, now, they're living separate lives on every level, and the guy refuses to give her a divorce. So, Kal mu'allaqa, the Quran says, like as if they are suspended. And dirara ولا تمسكوهن ضرارا لتعتدوا ومن يفعل ذلك فقد ظلم نفسه. Right? Don't hold on to them, right? Purely to be nasty and cruel to them. And you see what happened. The guy says, you, right, rubbish, like this, da, 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 I'll show you a point. I won't divorce you. I like to see, you can go to any jamiyat, you can go to any family member, you can go anywhere that I got the power of divorce. I'll make you hang. I've known of marriages, right, wherein they don't even live with each other, they don't even see each other, but they are still tied by the so-called bond of marriage, and he refuses to divorce her. And he goes for 4 or 5 years on end. And she is pushed from pillar to post. And these, sorry to tell you, idiotic mullahs out there don't have the courage to go and effect a divorce. And it just goes on and on and on. And in the interim, he's not supporting her, he's not supporting the children, he's gone AWOL, he's shacked up with some other woman out there that he hasn't even married. Right? She has to fend for herself, and whatever it is. And mind, it happens the other way around too. I know of situations where the woman left the husband and ran away. Kept him with the children. Some of them are not well, some of them, right? And the poor husband has to end up with the whole problem. These are real, genuine challenges. I don't think we have enough time to do the rest of them. The third one I think was sexual challenges, and the fourth one was financial challenges. Maybe we can, I don't know, we'll do it next weekend. I don't know. Is that okay? All of you don't have to come. Huh? Unfortunately, this wasn't the marriage events one. If you were in for the marriage events, you had it done in half an hour, khalas done. But this is the director's cut. Extended version. But the whole point is that it's no use me just telling you, oh, the financial challenges are abandonment. Gee, what's abandonment? You don't understand it. So I have to give you an explanation of what abandonment means, and you've got to understand it. And I want you to relate this in context of our communities, and you'll begin to realize how real these things are that I'm talking about. Do you know how many men and how many women are in these marriages wherein they have been abandoned on every level and they don't know where to go? I know of situations many years ago when a guy used to come, he'd sit outside his house. Him and his wife never spoke. She would keep his food there, he would eat his food, he'd go outside, he'd smoke his cigarette. She'd send the son or the daughter to come inside there, right, and say, tell daddy I need 50 rand for food. He'll take the one, he'll leave it there. They'll sleep in different rooms. Emotional abandonment. Right? What life is this? What life is this? Right? No one is saying divorce, but no one is saying live in this situation here. Do you know what it does to families, what it does to children? Right? Children don't know which way to turn. They see their mother unhappy, they see the father unhappy. Right? I've seen situations when marriages went belly up or whatever it is there, and I had to be there, unfortunately, at the time when the children were leaving their homes. And they can't understand why they're leaving their homes. And they're begging the father, daddy, I want to stay. Mom, daddy, don't go. Or mommy, daddy, don't leave the house. Or mommy, don't leave the house. Or mommy, don't take us away from the house. That trauma will never leave those children. Or ask a woman who has no understanding or no reason why the husband just abandoned her and he left. And he gave no reason whatsoever. And she had emotionally invested in that marriage for 5 to 7 years. Who's going to marry her after that? These are serious challenges. No one talks about these things. No one makes movies about this. No one talks about all of these issues after marriage. No one talks about the issues that when people have illnesses, physical illnesses, mental illnesses, right, that you have to deal with, and the impact that it has on the home. We'll get to the financial challenge on unemployment, all these things. But these are the challenges. It's not to scare anybody, but it's to make things very, very realistic for you and us. Really. Right? You're not laughing as much as you were laughing at the first session. Right? Because now it's hitting home. Now it's hitting home. And many of you, hope not, I sincerely hope not, in one way or the other may have experienced it yourselves or experienced it through other people in your families and whatever it is. And you know how difficult it is. So thank Allah from the bottom of your heart if you're not one of those people who's gone through any of these things. Right? I've seen it nowadays, and people are telling me this. You know this WhatsApp, BlackBerry. No, Blackberries are no more in fashion now. But the WhatsApps and the social media like Instagrams and the Twitters and all these other social media are creating rifts in marriages. Really, rifts in marriages. Women used to be on the phone before. I know on the household telephone, they're spending hours. Oh, what are you doing now? Okay, what do you cook? Where are you going now? Okay, they speak for 15, 20 minutes, they put the phone down again there. 15 minutes later, they start, what are you up to? And they'll go on, neglecting their families and whatever it is. Now, it's everybody, everywhere, every time. And the men are none the better now. Mind you, men can gossip than anything else. And now what is happening is that the guy will have a few women on his WhatsApp group. It may be innocent. 95% of the time it's not. No, really, 95% of the time it's not. Men think way differently, right? And women will have men on their groups. Why? What do you need to talk to the guy for? For what? What do you need to speak to this woman for? It becomes problematic. I know of people who have second phones with second WhatsApp groups inside there to speak to men, to speak to women. Really, you see it. And people have emotionally invested in other people's relationships and not in their own. I know of people out there who are more invested, like if you have a best friend, right, and she's having problems in her home, you'll be spending more time investing in her relationship to make those things work there than many your own relationships at home. How many of you are living other people's lives? Very seriously, this is a very serious question I'm asking. How many of you people are living other people's